Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. Most people think AI law is new, but Peter Nieves has been writing patents on neural networks and artificial intelligence for nearly 15 years. Peter's the founder of Nieves IP, an intellectual property law firm covering patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, and AI law. And he's built something most attorneys haven't. A parallel educational institution designed to bring legal knowledge to everyone, regardless of whether they can afford a lawyer. What makes this conversation stand out is Peter's vantage point. He's not reacting to the AI boom. He's been watching it build for over a decade. He predicted the lawsuits against OpenAI years before they happened, and he was in the room when a university researcher realized, mid-presentation, that their AI medical imaging platform was a HIPAA violation. And he's been sounding the alarm about the third wave when everyday business owners start getting sued for using AI-generated content they didn't realize was copyrighted. But Peter isn't here to scare anyone. His whole career's been built around one idea. The law should work for everyone, not just the people who can afford it. And right now, a little knowledge is all that stands between most small business owners and a very expensive mistake. This one is genuinely eye-opening. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen Whittier with Satori Coach IO, and today we are joined by Peter Nieves of Nieves IP. Peter, thanks for joining.
Yeah, sure. No problem, Stephen. Good to be with you guys.
Great. I appreciate you coming on here while you're on your holiday break, and it's great to have you join us. Just to start off with, I always like to just give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about what you do from a high level in terms of Nieves IP, all the different areas you cover, and just let you go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been an intellectual property law attorney for 27 years, but my focus is patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, AI law. One of the biggest motivations for me was to bring education to everybody, regardless of whether or not they could even afford a lawyer. So I also built an educational institution where I'm training people on AI law issues, how to safely use AI and take advantage of the technology should you choose to do so, where the areas of vulnerability are. I also train content creators. I have a program called the Small Business Legal Bootcamp. I have the Protect Your Idea Challenge. I have the Content Creators Legal Bootcamp. Also the AI Do's and Don'ts Masterclass. These are trainings that I've done that are either free or like $97 for 3 or 5 days. But the main motivation is like the law should support everybody, not just the people who can afford it. And unfortunately, in most cases, it only serves the people who can afford it. And so by building my own law firm where we have several lawyers and paralegals and other support staff, and at the same time building an educational institution, I could not only provide outstanding legal services, but also make sure people understand how the system works, what's necessary, and more importantly, how to avoid running into legal problems so you don't even need to hire a lawyer. So that's kind of what we're all about.
That's really interesting. Would you say that, or I guess I'll reframe, how long into your practice did you decide that having the educational arm of your business would be necessary or desirable?
Well, I'd say it was probably about 5 years ago. I was running the intellectual property law and patent law practices at a large New England law firm. And I mean, I just have to be honest. I said, there's got to be more than just kind of practicing law. Like I've always trained others, I've always taught others, but I wanted to do it in a more organized manner. And so I literally was praying about this. I said, I'm in my 50s. I want to be able to do something that's very productive for everyone, not just for, my clients. Like I want to be able to help everyone. And so I ran into this ad from this individual, Pedro Rodeo, and it was just kind of hilarious. I looked at it and I said, wow, that's kind of obnoxious. It was the person talking about how to do sales and how to train multiple people in one forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this is curious because the ads, like I wasn't used to ads, like Facebook ads and things like that. They just seemed kind of in your face, not really my style. But I said I was just kind of curious about this, so I went to one of the trainings, and long story short, he ended up becoming a client, ended up learning from the techniques that they use in training multiple people and utilizing online resources like ClickFunnels and Go High Level and Active Campaign and all these other platforms. And so I said, well, let me see if I could build this. And so I invested tens of thousands of dollars into building the infrastructure, and it worked great. Like my first training I actually did it for free, and I trained people on, it was called the Protect Your Idea Challenge. And I had my own website, my own active campaign, running email campaigns, ran Facebook ads. I mean, when you put it all together, we ended up training hundreds of people on trademarks, copyrights, patents, trade secrets, and understanding how they apply to your business when you're building a company. And the feedback was just outstanding. And people said, well, when are you running your next one? And so I was the head of the law firm's IP and patent law department. And I said, look, I think I need to build an educational institution to do this as well. And it just took off. Like it just started growing, and more people wanted to get more feedback. So I started building a community in a Facebook group where I would just share information, not legal advice, but just share information on, this is a recent court case that happened. This is why this is the problem. This is what you need to do in implementing in your business to make sure you don't run into this problem. And more people started coming in to the point where it was thousands of people that were coming in just to learn. And then we started getting feedback from them about how their businesses were changing, how they realized, oh my gosh, I could do an online trademark search at uspto.gov for free at a top level and find out if any of the 5 names I'm thinking of using might not be a good idea. Then I can, when I speak to a lawyer, I'm presenting less to the lawyer as opposed to going to them with a list of 10 trademarks. I realize 5 of them are not great, so I'll go to them with 5. Would that decrease my legal fees? So they started learning how to be responsible in building their own businesses. And it, like I said, it just started taking off. And so we invested a lot, like financially, we invested a lot in the infrastructure, but it's just the inspiration behind it is really, like if you get to the top of the mountain and you're alone, you've done something wrong. Like you need to go back. And that's something I really believe in based on where I was born and where I am today. Like you got to bring people with you. Meaning you got to bring the level of education you have to everyone. Don't just kind of monopolize it and make it just available to you. So that's kind of the motivation behind where we are today.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. For people that aren't in the field and, as an educator as well as a lawyer, people that aren't in the field, aren't really familiar with IP law, what would you say most people misunderstand or maybe underestimate about your field? Like things that are common misconceptions.
I say one of the biggest one is people think that they don't need to worry about it until they're a big company, which is really unfortunate, because if you only think about it when you are a big company, then you get hit hard when you get sued, or you lose a significant amount of profit when somebody else rips off your products, rips off your images, rips off your videos, your audio, and you can't do anything about it because you don't have any legal rights to anything, or you're falling back on common law trademark or common law copyrights because you didn't file a $65 registration. I mean, these are very basic things, but a lot of people believe that you don't need any of these things until you become a big company. If you wait until you're a big company, you're too late. I mean, I hate to say it, because then, as an example, the inventions that you've been offering for sale, now it's been more than 1 year since you've offered it for sale, and you can't obtain any legal rights to them. So now they're available to the public, meaning you can't stop anyone from selling them. There
Great.
we go. And then there's other issues. As an example, people will use names for their businesses. They'll use names for their products. They'll use names for their services that are merely descriptive. Like they're literally descriptive of, so as an example, somebody has an apple orchard and they call their place Apple Orchard. You can't protect that name. So now somebody else starts using the name Apple Orchard, and all your clients are starting to go to the other place, and you're saying, I need to stop them because I'm losing my clients. Well, you can't stop anything because you don't even own your name, because the name you chose was merely descriptive. So they don't even know what merely descriptive means. So now they buy a domain name for something that's descriptive. Then you start using as a trademark something that's descriptive. And then when they want to finally enforce, when they're big enough, they realize, oh my gosh, the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent on marketing and branding was behind something that we can't even own. So now they have to rebuild everything from scratch because they waited to learn about intellectual property law until they were quote unquote big enough. It's just the wrong way to do business. When you're building a house, you need a solid foundation. You don't wait until you're putting on the curtains of the house to finally start investing, because then you have a cracked foundation and then you can't rebuild the house. The foundation's toast. So now you have a bad foundation. So what do you have to do? You need to try to sell the thing. You need to try to build a new house, hopefully on some of the money that you've made. And that's what a lot of people are doing with their companies. They don't know anything about AI law, meaning they don't understand the privacy issues. They don't understand that they can't own what they're creating using AI. They don't understand they can get sued for using the results of AI because it's copyrighted and trademarked works that were used in trading the models. They don't know any of this. And so now they're starting to utilize the results. They're building their business. Then they finally come into some money. They go meet an attorney like me, and I go, we need to rebuild things. And so that's a reason why these courses are helping people, because look, if the CEO or the president of the company can't go, at least they could send an admin to look at it, who can look at it and go, oh my gosh, we have a big problem here. We need to make some changes, and not wait until they're quote unquote big enough.
Yeah, the AI law too, that's moving very fast, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is everybody believes that AI law is new. It's not new. What it's doing is it's applying old principles to seemingly new technology, which in and of itself is also not new. Like AI has been around for a very long time. I've been writing patents on artificial intelligence, neural networks for like 14, 15 years. Like this is not new technology. What's happened is that there's a lot of interest in basically in like ChatGPT, Midjourney, all these kind of text focused AI models, or image focused AI models, or even video focused like Sora and others, all these new models that are coming out. But the technology behind it is fairly old. So now what happens is people aren't aware of how the models are trained. But since I've been writing patents on this and I've understood this technology for so long, I've actually been doing training courses on this for 3-4 years to teach people what's really going on here and exactly what was going to happen, meaning the founders of these AI platforms like OpenAI for ChatGPT, they're going to get sued. Like I told people like 3 years ago that the lawsuits were going to happen. And then the New York Times sued them. They get sued by all these different corporations and authors because the way that they train their model to give results to the public is merely scraping the internet. That means grabbing all of your stuff, your Facebook posts, your website posts, your Instagram, your TikTok, all that stuff, your YouTube, your Vimeo. They just grabbed it off the internet and then used it to train their model. And so that includes your copyrighted works. And so this is a big deal. So now what you're seeing is you're actually seeing the manifestation of not brand new technology, but a new graphical user interface, a new way for people to interact with technology that's been around for a while. And now you're seeing old laws like trademark law and copyright law being applied, and privacy law being applied into this seemingly new area of technology to create what people believe is new case law. But when you look at these decisions that are coming out in the courts, they're really just confirming what copyright law says and what trademark law says. It's just reconfirming things that we've known about for a long time, but the public hasn't. That's the big issue, right? So, you have to change something in your house and you're not a plumber. Well, when you first use it, you think it's new, but you hire somebody who's been doing plumbing for 40 years. This is old stuff. It's just something that we've never seen. And that's so for the public, these text focused, video focused, image focused, audio focused generative AI models they're really implementing older technology in a prettier way, a more interactive way for the public. And so for myself, when I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking, all right, well, we're applying old legal principles, and that court case is going to say this, and boom, the court case says that. So it's almost like being prophetic in the in the legal field and in the technological field because of your skill set, right? So you'll look at this and go, all right, within 2 years, what's going to happen is people are going to realize that the stuff that they're entering into these models are going public to third parties. And everybody would say, no, it's not that big of a deal. They're so excited. It's like a kid in a candy store. They just eat everything. They don't care. And then all of a sudden, the kid starts getting cavities and starts getting stomach aches. And the parents, like, this is kind of what I'm feeling like here. It's like the parents can have two choices. They can come out and say, I told you so. See, here's my video from 2 years ago telling you this was going to happen. Or they can come alongside these people and say, okay, well, I'm glad you see that there's some issues here. Let me show you what you can do to fix it. That's kind of the angle that I'm taking is, yeah, I've been talking about this for several years and people have been ignoring it until now. Now they're going, hold it. This guy's been talking about this for a while, and he's been speaking in DC and California and Florida and all over the place. Like, can you come talk about this issue? And so I come in and I start speaking about these issues, but I'm asking them, all right, what is your audience interested in? So I can show you how these principles that have to do with AI, legal problems apply to your clients. Because it's very different. Like I spoke in DC at the DMV forum, which was all the local big name universities. Now, for them, they're trying to license, right? That's how universities make money. They try to license their technology. And so they're trying to get people to sponsor the research, give them $50,000, $100,000 towards a certain technology, and then patent that, and then license it and make money, right? That's what they're really trying to do. Well, so when I'm speaking to them, one of the things I said at that forum, which was shocking, I said, hey, got a question for you. How many people here have developed their own AI labs? Every single university raised their hand, every one of them, right? I said, okay, great. How many of you actually know what data has been used to train the models for your labs, for your AI platforms? I think there were two people
Fascinating.
in the room. And so one of the people in the back then raised their hand and said, hey, I got a question based on what you've been saying. We're doing medical, like it's focused on images for medical procedures. And we train the model using the images of third parties. I said, what kind of images? They said, oh, MRIs, CAT scans. And so I said, hold on. Have you licensed this to another party? They said, oh, yeah, we sold it. I said, with the images? They said, yeah. I said, that's a HIPAA violation. And like their face went white. Like literally they went white. And they said, whoa, what do you mean it's a HIPAA violation? Because they're not aware of the fact that these models are being trained using images, and those images are the medical images of third parties, and you need to get legal right. You need to legally be obtaining permission to use those images. If you don't, you're taking the private medical images of a third party and making them available to the public. When they type in a certain prompt, they're getting Sally's CAT scan from some sickness that she went through. And if they can somehow trace back to that being Sally, that's a lawsuit. Like you don't even need to be able to trace it. That's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot of things people are not aware of yet. And so we need to bring that awareness. And so that's part of why we're here with you, Stephen, is to help people become aware.
Yeah, that's Wow, that's wild. And I appreciate you educating the audience too about just how far back this goes. I mean, obviously we know AI has been around for a while, but a lot of people it wasn't really on their radar until a few years ago with the acceleration after ChatGPT 3.5 rolled out. So it's good to know that this is really just a new incarnation of old principles. What other trends are you seeing, whether this is more industry wide or anything that even you're encountering within your own firm when it comes to AI?
I'm finding a lot of people are starting to bring in chatbots into their own companies, or they're taking small engines and they're adding it into their companies. And there's nothing wrong with using a chatbot, or there's nothing wrong with using an engine. You just have to be careful in what you're doing. So there are privacy issues in doing this, where you got to make sure that you're not collecting private information of a third party without their permission. You want to make sure that the engines that you're bringing in are not connected on the back end to OpenAI's ChatGPT, which a lot of them are. A lot of people are coming to you and saying, "Hey, I will create a AI platform for your company." And what they're really doing is they're giving you a shell. It's like a really pretty graphical user interface or an API, and you go in and you can interact with it, and it has the name of your company there, and it's kind of like customized buttons and things. But what's really happening is that data is getting collected and then processed and thrown over to OpenAI's ChatGPT, and then when somebody's using a prompt, it's going into ChatGPT, getting results, and spitting it back to you in your own quote unquote application. But your application is not private; it's actually just tailbacking in on OpenAI's ChatGPT. Or this is happening big in China right now. There's a lot of companies that are building quote unquote customized platforms. They're really not. They're actually just a shell that's interacting with a back-end system, and that back-end system is collecting the data, some of which is private information of your clients. So you could be in violation of ethical violations, HIPAA violations, privacy violations. If you got non-disclosure, non-compete agreements with your clients, you could be violating those. Now, like I've mentioned a number of the issues here, but just to be clear, I use AI all the time. Like I use AI in my firm, I use AI in my educational institution, but I know what I'm doing. Like I understand what I'm supposed to do and what I can't do with these platforms. One of the things I've been telling people is AI really very much is like a scalpel, right? You put a scalpel in the hand of a surgeon, you can do amazing things. Like you'll save a life. You can reconstruct things, build things, make life a lot better. But you put it in the hand of a toddler that doesn't know what they're doing, somebody's going to get hurt. And that's how people are using AI right now. They're treating it like it's candy. And they're just taking all they want. They don't care. I mean, I saw a major influencer recently saying, if you see a website you like, take the URL, upload the URL onto this AI site. It'll grab the content from there. You take the content from there, you then upload that into ClickFunnels or Go High Level or another platform for holding funnels or websites, and now you've got the website. That's called copyright infringement. It's just flat out copyright infringement. You can't do that. You can't grab the text and the images of a third party. That's copyright infringement. So you've got major influencers with like tens of millions of followers, and they're telling you to perform actions using AI that are committing trademark infringement, copyright infringement, privacy problems. So it's kind of disheartening to watch because I have two daughters, two amazing daughters, and so as a father, I don't like watching people get hurt. Like I just, if you're a mother or your father and you see your child getting ready to put their hand on a hot stove, you say something. If you don't say something, something's wrong with you. And so what's happening right now is you're seeing a lot of people doing things that are getting them in trouble. And so we're just trying to get awareness, like trying to get the millions of people that are using these platforms to understand how to use it properly. How do you, even in the settings, do you know that in OpenAI's ChatGPT, you can simply go into the settings and set it so that it doesn't train the model? But like 90% of the people that are probably watching this right now have in their settings, use my content to train your model. That means you're giving them permission to grab everything that you're uploading and train their model, which then gives it to third parties.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're doing that. Like, you are doing that. It's as simple as 3 clicks on ChatGPT to change that function, and people aren't aware. Like, they just don't know. So you've got to be careful. Even LinkedIn's starting to use AI, so you've got to be careful in what you're doing. Some people are using WhatsApp with foreign clients. WhatsApp uses AI. So you got to make sure that you understand that if you're putting confidential information in there, that stuff's getting harvested. So if you're looking at building images, using a platform like Adobe Firefly is great because all the images that you're getting for results are all licensed and open source images that belong to the company. So the chances of you getting sued for copyright infringement or trademark infringement are slim to none. I mean, it's a bad business model if you sue people for using the stuff that they're paying you to use, right? So that's why you want to look for platforms. If you're going to use AI, look for platforms that are doing one of the following, at least one of the following. Number one, they're not training based on what you're entering. Number two, there's a privacy model that you can utilize so that your content's not going to third parties. Number three, the data that was used to train the model is licensed or it's open source. So the chances of you being sued for using the results of these models are slim to none. Like, these are the things you need to do as a business owner or as a lawyer or as a user of AI. If you're not doing these things, then you're just playing with a scalpel, and
Absolutely.
which is unfortunate because it's great technology. It's fun. And, like I said, I use it. So to harvest the wind properly, you got to put your sail in the right direction. If you don't, you're going to smash into the rocks. And that's what people are doing right now.
Yeah. These are great points. And when I'm talking to people as well, they're very, very unconscious in a lot of cases to some of these issues, which is particularly important when it comes to, like you said, the privacy issues with like the legal field, the medical field, things like that. They've got to be, you can't just go to the public LLMs and just use them as is. You've got to make sure that you're controlling the parameters there. You mentioned that you are using it in the firm and in the educational arm. Could you talk a little bit about that? How are you using it? What are you most excited about there?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm doing something like in a marketing area, then I'll use it to do like ads, something like that. In the law firm, I don't really do ads. Really, we're very blessed. People talk about the firm, and so when people speak to others or people have a good experience, they refer clients over. So, we're very blessed in that manner. But in the educational institution, we run ads. Like, we're actually running $5,000, $10,000 ad campaigns. And in running those ad campaigns, I'll type into even ChatGPT. I'm running a training course for, as an example, authors that are thinking of using artificial intelligence in the drafting of books. I want to create an ad that is striking to them, that raises a few of the problems. An example being, you're not allowed to use artificial intelligence in fulfilling the requirements of a publisher because their contracts say you need to own the copyright. And if you're writing a book using AI, you don't own the copyright. Even when you file for copyright applications with the Copyright Office, they now have a button there that says, did you use artificial intelligence? Yes or no? And if you did, you have to explain how you used it. On what pages was it used? On what images was it used? Because you're not going to own those pages and you're not going to own those images under copyright law. So I use it a lot in the educational institution. On the law firm side, it's really for public things. So as an example, let's say I've got a client, they've got a technology, they've got a patent, right? And they're looking to see, are there any parties out there that are using something similar for potential enforcement of their IP? Now, in this case, obviously the technology, the patent has already existed, so it's public, right? So I'm not concerned about entering into an AI platform public information because it has no bearing. Like, it's like if I went on to Google and I typed it, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. But it's very good at showing us other companies that may be doing things that are similar. And then we do further investigations into that and we go, oh, guess what? Here are 3 companies that are doing things that are extremely similar. Now we look further into those companies, and when we look further into those companies, we realize there's a potential infringement on one of these companies. And so it's good for doing like public research using non-private data, right?
Mhm.
So I'll use it for those purposes. I mean, there are private versions of AI you can use, like you can get ChatGPT Enterprise, you can use that. There's other ones that you can do customized AI platforms for yourself that are closed systems. People are spending, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 building these platforms. And now the information that's going into the model is their information, and it's not going to a third party, right? And the system's learning based on their information. So you can get your own systems. I will mention this one other thing that's really bothering me that people aren't aware of. I'm actually going to be talking about this in my next AI do's and don'ts masterclass. I'll probably do it in March because I'm doing another one in February and I'm traveling a lot in January. So what a lot of people are starting to realize now is they can add these bots into Outlook, into their Explorer, and basically connected to their data, so that now the AI platform will process the data, and they can type in a prompt and find, as an example, I'm looking for emails that I've had in the last 10 years associated with Bitcoin, right? And then boom, there's all the emails. They all pop up, right? Because the AI, the bot has already processed all the emails, like the millions of emails in this company. But what they don't realize is some of these systems are actually connecting on the back end to a public system. So now what's happening is they're processing the data for their internal companies, and that data is going to the public. They're not even aware. So they need to be asking questions. They need to be saying, hey, this bot that I'm connecting into my Outlook, into my business, is it a closed system? Is it not taking that information, giving it to third parties? Is it learning from it? Is it not? Like, they have to know what questions to ask. If they don't, they might be taking the personal private information of their company and just giving it away. And that's a major problem. And so I see this is where you're going to see a lot of lawsuits coming now. A lot of them. Like I anticipated there were going to be lawsuits in a few different areas. One of them was going to be the parties that actually are creating these AI platforms. They're going to get sued because people are going to realize that their own personal information they've been entering in actually is going to the public. But another reason is because people are going to realize that the results that they're using from these platforms are actually trademarked and copyrighted works of third parties. And those people that are using those results can run into lawsuits. And when they get sued, they're going to try to go back at the company and say, hey, I just used results from you, so you should be liable for trademark infringement, not me. And I tell you that I don't know how many people here are paying attention to this, but if you look at the disclaimers and the terms and conditions on a lot of these platforms, they're so verbose to make sure that those companies are not liable for any of the results that you get for using their platform. So there were three things I would say was going to happen. Number one was the companies were going to get sued. Number two is that people were going to realize their content is going public. And number three is that the people would start getting sued. And so the first two already happened. The third one is about to happen. And so my hope is that people become aware of what the issues are, implement AI the proper way, and then walk into that lawsuit, because that just gets the lawyers busy. Like, lawyers win whether you win or don't win because they get paid, and that should not be the case. Like, I'm not saying lawyers shouldn't get paid. I'm saying you shouldn't get sued. It should not be the case that you get sued. The Bible says, "My people perish due to lack of knowledge," and there's a lot of lack of knowledge in the field right now, and so we just want to make people aware.
That's great. I'll shift gears a little bit over to looking a little more deeply into your own businesses. So the firm, the educational institution, where are you at right now in terms of growth, and where are you looking to get to within the next 12 months or so?
Yeah, good questions. So it's about 3 years ago, I left the larger firm that I was with. I just had this calling, like to build my own firm. And there were also certain things I wanted to do within the community, and I needed to be outside of a kind of like a build hour structure to be able to accomplish those things. So I started my own firm. We were remarkably blessed with all the clients that went with us, and honestly, the firm I left, they blessed us as well. Like they're just we're all just good friends. Like it's an amazing law firm. I still refer work to them. Just really phenomenal firm. It was just time to branch off and build my own firm, right?
Yeah.
And that happens at times, right? But the remarkableness about it was like they honored me and I honored them, and we all maintained friendships, and so we just kind of we're right down the street from each other. we all get along, right? Which is the way it should happen. But one of the things I wanted to do is, again, I wanted to build the educational institution as I'm building the firm. So as of now, we've got multiple lawyers, we've got multiple paralegals, and we're growing. Like we just finished meeting with a major university in DC, and we're looking at doing work for them. Hopefully shortly, we represent like major universities like MIT and Georgetown, but then we also have clients around the world like Constant Contact, and we also represent, well, I won't go through all the clients, but so the client base is growing, and we've picked up some remarkable talent, like really brilliant people that are working with us. And so, as an example, one of our people has been not only a patent agent for 20 years, but he was at the patent office, and he's brilliant when it comes to 101 issues, like patentable subject matter issues, electrical engineering background. Another person's a biotech background person. And then, so we've got the arsenal growing. And what's funny is my old firm from Atlanta, Georgia, from way back in the day when I started my career, when they found out I was doing this, three of my mentors came from that firm, like really phenomenal lawyers. And they said, hey, look, if you ever need backup, you've got our whole law firm. Like, we'll back you up. Like, these are things that just don't happen. Like, you don't get a law firm that says, hey, you need help, our whole law firm will back you up. Like, so this is just showing the character of some of these people. And so the beautiful part is that, like, if let's say all of a sudden we had like 7 major corporations came in, I'd have the backing of my old firm, to back me up while I'm managing and writing cases at the same time. But we're way ahead of the ball. Like we don't have any issues at all in getting work done, and we're actually looking to build up even more. So we do trademark work, we do patent work, we do copyright work. We're doing a lot of AI consulting, licensing issues. A lot of managing on patent litigation work, like when people have a litigation matter and they need consulting, like what should we do first, second, third, things like that. I'll come alongside them. I'm not taking first chair in patent litigation matters right now because to do that would basically take all my time. And so it's more like being in a support role in patent litigation matters if they're taking place in New Hampshire or Massachusetts. So we're well on our way to growth. And I think I want to be somewhere around 10, like for lawyers. I think that's enough for what I'm trying to accomplish. I want to be able to set up a system that not only does legal work, but brings the education to the clients as well. And so clients that are working with me are actually have the potential for access to our online courses too. So we're trying to set up a system that is building not just providing of legal services, but also building education.
Excellent. I always like to ask the magic wand question, which is around constraints. So if you could wave a magic wand hypothetically and fix one challenge point or constraint in the business, what would that be?
Honestly, I can't think of any challenges we have right now. I mean, we're very fortunate. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, we are very fortunate. Like, we have everything covered. Like, I can't think of if somebody came to me and said, "How I can give you X right now for your business, what would that be? Like, I really love the people I work with. The quality of the work we do is outstanding. Like, the clients we have are outstanding. The location is phenomenal. Honestly, I'm wow. Nobody's ever asked me that, and I actually feel pretty good going into the new year now.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of something that we're lacking. I mean, we would love to do more, even more client work, because then I can bring in a new attorney, but we really have a great setup. Like when I built this firm, the intent was to build something that was kingdom focused, right? And what I mean by that is I'm also an ordained minister. And so I'm very much focused on honoring others, respecting others, not saying you're going to do something and not doing it. Like kingdom principles, like that was really important to me. It's a Christian firm, right? And so there's an accountability that's a lot higher than just to the clients. So, and so some people understand what I'm talking about, because one of the things that bothers the public is when they get these miscellaneous legal bills and they just keep coming, right? So somebody says this project's going to cost $5,000. And then there's another invoice and another invoice and another invoice and another invoice. And like 2 years later, you're still getting invoices. And you go, hold it. You said it was $5,000 and you said beginning to end was $5,000. Why am I up to $8,500 already? And why is it still continuing? So we wanted to change that. We wanted it to be as people always talk about the attorney-client privilege or the attorney-client relationship. We were like, hold it, it's more like the client-attorney relationship, because without the client, we don't exist, right? So how about we build a system where there's no mysteries, there's flat fees, people know when they're coming into the business, they know, okay, it's costing this beginning to end. Or if it's a project that can change, as an example, a trademark application, the filing of the application will cost this flat fee, like period. Now, after you file, there's different things that can happen. So for those things, it's billed per hour. But in the beginning, we can control what happens, like the gathering of the specimen, the recitation of goods and services, selection of the international class, the corporate formation information, who is the entity that owns it, like all that stuff we can control, right? So we can flat fee that. So imagine if you're a CFO of a company or you have a company and you can go, I'm going to file 5 patents this year. That costs me exactly X, period. I know exactly what that is. That's what people want. Like they don't want this randomness where this mysterious bills just come out of nowhere. It makes it hard to manage a company.
Right.
Right.
That's excellent. And yeah, from the consumer perspective, I've been there. Definitely been on the phone or emails.
Yeah, it's remarkably.
Wait, what was this for?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. It's remarkably unfortunate. Now, there's areas that you can't control. As an example, once you file the patent application or once you file the trademark application, you're now at the mercy of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, because they may come back and say, oh, that's allowable. Great. So now you know that you've got this allowance, and you've got an 30-day opposition period, and then you've got review, and then your registration. You know that, right? But if you get a rejection, it could be a likelihood of confusion rejection. It could be a merely descriptiveness rejection. It could be the specimen. It could be, it could be a lot of different things. So at that point, you have less control over it's going to be exactly this, because you don't know what's going to happen in that period. But once you get past that and you're at allowance, you know everything that's going to happen from allowance to the opposition, the opening for the opposition, which is the publication, to the registration certificate, to docketing, double checking things. So make that thing $300. Why do you have to say, oh, I don't know what the fee is going to be? You know what you're going to do. And if you don't know what you're going to do, you shouldn't be running a law firm. Like, you should know what your paralegals need to do when a case gets allowed. Honestly, like, it's the same process. So it's like if you go to a mechanic and you're going to do an oil change, right? The oil change should cost the same, right? But now if all of a sudden they say, oh, we found these other things that are going on, okay, that's additional cost. That makes sense. But if in following a trademark application, I need to do all this, that's X amount. It's been allowed. All this is going to happen. That's X amount. And in between, you don't know the rest. So that's where you say, look, that part's, that's billed per hour, but typically that's in this range. Right. So now you're kind of to give them some guidance, because honestly, your lawyers, they're not just random third parties that you hire. They're business partners. They really are, because a lawyer can make or break you. If you just start randomly getting tens of thousands of dollars of legal fees, that's going to hurt at the end of the year. If they're not communicating with you when they get some kind of notice to let you know what's going on, that can hurt. So it's really a business partner. So your relationship with your attorney should be one of a business partner, not one of a third-party hire. And you'll see just how much better you can do and how much less you'll spend.
Yeah,
as a business.
That's a great observation. And then you've touched on this in a couple different ways, where you've mentioned your whole motivation for starting the educational institution, and then just saying that you're a kingdom-led firm. But I like to wrap up, after all these great observations that you've given us, with the personal why, which is extending beyond all this fantastic growth that you had. But why do you get up and do what you do every day? What's the driving motivation for you?
Well, I believe that we're in a position of service, right? So when you have a lot of, I'm going to say this, I say this humbly, when you're in a position of power, it's really your job to help others. It really is. Like if you have a lot of knowledge, or you have a lot of resources, and you don't do anything with them, then honestly, you didn't really accomplish much in life. You kind of were a blip. You came in and you left, the earth. That's it. You're just a blip, and you're really not doing much. But if you can help a lot of people in the process, I believe that's a productive life, right? And so there's a few motivations behind why I do what I do. One of the main ones is I don't like seeing people get hurt. I have a very protective nature about myself. My wife will tell you that. My daughters will tell you that. My family will tell you that. I don't like seeing people get hurt. And so I was just seeing too many people get in trouble for things where just a little bit of knowledge would have prevented it. As an example, the cease and desist to the mom and pop business, where all of a sudden they're not only having to stop selling what they're selling and using the name that they're using, but now they have to fork over $5,000, $10,000 to another party who sent the cease and desist letter. And to them, that's a lot of money. To you and I, we go 5, 10,000, whatever. Like, that's not that big of a deal. To them, that's a huge issue. And so I realized that, a good 25%, if not more, of the issues that these people were running into was just because they didn't have knowledge. That's all it was. And if we could train them, now they wouldn't run into those problems. As an example, there was one gentleman who joined one of my trainings in the Protect Your Idea Challenge, and like his face went white when I went, like, I'm training, and you could see the people there, and he just happened to be one of the people that I could see in the Zoom link. In the Zoom screen, and like his face literally went white. And I said, what in the world just happened? And what I was talking about were the legal rights that you have under common law for use of a trademark, whether you have a federal registration or not. So whether you filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office or not, you have certain legal rights if you use the trademark in interstate commerce. So let's say that you have a mom and pop hamburger stand, and it's called McDonald's, before the big McDonald's came out. And then the big McDonald's files a trademark application, and they own McDonald's. Mom and dad, that little mom and pop shop, can continue selling burgers in that little place where they've been selling burgers. Like, they can't get stopped. But what happened in this case was this individual ran a small company, and they were using a certain name, and this big corporation reaches out to them, cease and desist, threatens them. He reaches out to his corporate lawyer, and his corporate lawyer says, oh man, you better stop now. You have to stop using that name and change everything. So he spends tens of thousands of dollars pulling packaging, changing packaging, rebranding, changing websites, changing just everything, doing a new marketing plan, and he fortunately doesn't get in trouble and he moves on. But during my training, what I explained to him was that every geographical region where they've been selling, they could continue. Well, that means he never had to stop.
Mm.
He literally could have told the other party, hey, look, we've been using this in this region, and this is the only place that we're selling, and we're going to continue selling. And in fact, you can't even come into our area without violating our legal rights. So you need a license from us. Like, he could have said that. But the corporate lawyer had no idea about intellectual property law.
Mm.
And so the result was he ended up spending tens of thousands of dollars rebranding for no reason. Just a lack of knowledge. So that's part of the reason why I do this is, number one, I don't like seeing people get hurt. Number two, I know I can make a difference because I have the knowledge and I have the access points. Number three, I'm very fortunate to have a good, strong network of other people that care about people. So I'll get someone who creates funnels who just volunteers to help me. I'll get somebody who's phenomenal at ads that'll just literally, hey, Pete, I heard you're doing this thing. Let me back you up with my company. I mean, it's remarkably humbling to see these people that are around me strategically. And then I get taught by one of the best in the world on creating challenges and how to build these platforms. And so it's fun. Like, it's nice to enjoy what you're doing.
Fantastic. For people that are interested in learning more, getting consulting from you or legal services, just go ahead and tell them how to find you.
Sure. So if you are looking at artificial intelligence, I know right now AI is a really big deal for a lot of people. They're trying to get speakers on AI. I am doing a lot of public speaking on AI right now. If you want to reach out to me on that, you can go to peternieves.com and just send me a message there. We're booking obviously into 2026 quickly. If you are looking for legal services, I would go to Nieves IP. So it's Nieves IP.com, and you can submit your question there and reach out to us there. And then as far as our trainings, though, we're building up the Peter Nieves website that's going to have like links to all the trainings. Because like the AI do's and don'ts masterclass, I actually turned that into a course because so many people were asking questions that they would say, hey, when's your next one? When's your next training? I just had to have something available 24 hours a day. So I hired somebody to build an entire back-end system and go high level with funnels and interactions so that now you can have access 24 hours a day to training on these AI issues. So again, just go to peternieves.com. We're updating that page and you'll just see the links there to the different courses, and you just click it and it tells you a little bit about it, and then boom, you can register off of there. So we're trying to bring as much knowledge as possible to the public, and you can reach out with any questions at nieves@elite-challenges.com. Okay.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for all the knowledge drops and the insights today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for what you're doing here. I appreciate it, Steven. I'm happy to help out, and hopefully this helps out your audience.
Excellent. And have a great rest of your vacation.
Thank you. Yeah, I intend to do that right now.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.